Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Kimberly Cox and I am the face and the voice and the brain behind the Magical Mommy Spot, where I talk about all things mental health, special needs parenting. I talk about homeschooling and all kinds of fun manifestation and goal setting techniques and things. If any of that sounds interesting to you, this is your place. Make sure you subscribe, hit that bell notification, because we've got all kinds of cool stuff headed your way in 2022. So today I am going to attempt to get through part 2 of my story. For those of you, I know that a lot of people clicked on and watched at least part of my story, part 1 of my story. And I think that was a little bit, I don't want to say easier, but the further away things are, the more time you have to process them and the longer you have to kind of work through them and stuff. And I think at this point, it is the closer, how do I want to word this? Getting to the stuff that's happened closer to now. I do not know how well I'm going to get through this. I do dissociate. I did not say that in the first part, and I did for part of it. My brain kind of goes on autopilot and just kind of runs with the story because it knows what to say. And I think that is kind of why sometimes it almost sounds like I can say what happened without emotions, because my brain just kind of goes into that safe spot so that it doesn't have to relive it. So for those of you who don't know, that is PTSD. That is a coping mechanism, and especially of any PTSD and CPTSD, which is complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm going to start out by talking, kind of giving you a little bit of a backup of my part 1. So we talked about my childhood and my mom and my dad and the situation with my mom remarrying and some of the stuff that I dealt with in school as a child. So when I became, I won't even say when I became an adult, because there are days, let me know, drop it in the comments if you happen to be one of those people who is like me and is like, when did I get my adult card? Because I kind of don't feel like I passed the test to get one. Yeah, that's me. I am drinking cold coffee, iced coffee, so yay. Oh, so when I got married at 17. And the man that I got married to, I knew that I shouldn't marry. I had this feeling that this was just not right. Like, you're expecting things to be, you're looking at this through this oh, this person's got so much potential. Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. And there was just a lot of scenarios where I kind of knew that I should probably run, but I was young and I was afraid that I was never gonna find anyone, and so I got into a marriage that lasted 11 years, or was it 10? We were together 12, so go figure for what that's worth. And it wasn't horrible. There were good times, and I'm one of those people who likes to try to remember the good times as much as possible, even though CPTSD and dissociations have taken a lot of that from me. That's one time that I actually dissociate. That it didn't make a lot of sense to me until I actually thought about it. I do tend to dissociate during really good times because it's kind of like I don't want that thing to be dangled in front of me. Oh, look at this is such a good thing, and now I'm going to rip it away. And so instead, I tend to just kind of go into this place of feeling very like it, being very numb. And it's not a good thing necessarily, because the people that I love and care about who want to make memories with me and want, the good stuff to happen, I'm not fully present during that time, and that makes life hard. So, moving forward, it was an interesting marriage. There was a lot of control issues, and I think we both had control issues, and I think that at times it flipped back and forth who had control. But at the end of the day, I always felt like I needed to make him happy at all costs. And I can tell you, there were multiple times that I did things, and I'm not going to get into, YouTube is not the place to get into specifics for that, but there were multiple times when I did things that I totally would never have done just for attention, affection, some type of being noticed. And at a certain point, we split up, and we spent 6 months apart. And I dove deep into alcohol to kind of help myself. And then I found myself kind of having to run back, and it wasn't that I didn't necessarily want to go back, but I think there was like that. I always knew, I knew before we got married that, this was something that probably could be just walk away. It's fine. You can remain friends. That's fine. But this relationship does not need to happen. And I just kept coming back and was not learning it for a while. And then finally I'd had enough and I left. And it was hard at first. And then I met my, second husband, and we met online, and I was in the process of divorcing my first husband, and we met and just hit it off right away. And, it just kind of happened. It was like he took the trip to meet me and had a friend to bring him. And that just, it was like, okay, you made the effort. You made the effort to come see me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and see where this goes. And I didn't have kids at the time. He is my kid's father. And we ended up together super quick, basically moved in within 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. He moved up to me, and then we got our own place. I was living with a friend at the time, and we got our own place within a month or so after he moved in with my friend. And it was really good when it was just the two of us. When it was just the two of us, we did things and we had fun, and there was a lot of good times. And then I got pregnant, and we really, really wanted kids, and we were so excited, and we had my oldest, and I hit a wall. I hit a wall of postpartum depression, and I did not know how to recover from it, and I was treading water. And then I got pregnant again. And being pregnant and having a 9-month-old at the time, and knowing that there was going to be a 2 under 2 for, a good 6 months, I was very thankful that I ran into the correct OBGYN, and she helped me to get on some medication that helped me through the pregnancy. And then after my second pregnancy, and my first pregnancy was quite traumatic. I will do a whole separate birth story if you guys want me to. Let me know in the comments if that's something that you guys are interested in. I'm trying to keep this as streamlined as possible. We're already at 11 minutes. So I'm trying not to go, 30. And so I ended up going to my second pregnancy went a lot better than my first. And then my OBGYN said, okay, it's your 6-week checkup. I have to let you go. You need to go find someone to get your meds from, though, if they help. And so I went to the local mental health facility. And that was where I got misdiagnosed, which was great fun, let me tell you. I will do a separate misdiagnosis. That's already been planned, is my misdiagnosis story. I have kind of 2 of them. One was actual misdiagnose. The other one was a self-misdiagnose, which I will break those down for you in another video. However, long story short, I was misdiagnosed with bipolar disorder, put on meds, which then turned me into a zombie for 3 weeks. And my husband was like, yeah, no, you are not going to, we can't do this anymore. I don't like you on them. They're not helping. You need to try to get off of them. So I weaned myself off of them without even the psychiatrist's, thought. And I was still seeing my therapist, and she eventually just said, look, Kim, you have complex post-traumatic stress disorder, you have depression, you have anxiety, those are what you're dealing with. And it was about a year later that I finally started to really see, after we were working on my oldest's diagnosis of autism and ADHD, that I probably had ADHD myself, and I went through and got myself diagnosed with ADHD as well. So that is some of the stuff. We had, my daughter went through a lot of, my oldest went through a lot of behavior and mental health therapists and caseworkers and people like that. My youngest actually had some medical problems that we had to deal with. So we were in and out of doctors all the time between both of them, one for medical and the other for, behavioral and developmental disabilities. And my husband was slowly starting to just shut down. He was not happy. He was frustrated with the kids. I think that he wanted kids, but I think that he wanted them to behave and act and do a certain way. And they're human beings, and they do what they will. And it's your job as parents to guide them, but within reason, you can force, hand over hand, do things like that, them to do things. But at a certain point, it's still they can still fight you, and they still have their free will because they're still human. And I have always been a firm believer that the best way to get your children to listen is to appeal to them and try to get them to want to do it on their own. When you start to try to push yourself and what you want on them, especially with my autistic daughter, she would push back really hard, and there would be a lot of fights that would happen. So, without going too far into details about things, I came to a place where I knew that we were no longer working well together. And I had to figure something out. There was a lot of triggers that were happening where I was watching my childhood unfold in my own children's lives and having to decide, do I continue in this, or do I try to figure out a way to ease this, to fix this, to stop this? And eventually I came to a place where I said, okay, like, I can no longer live this way. This is not okay. This was not okay when I was little. It was something that I did not like having to live through. It is not okay for my children to have to live through this. I need to do something. And I separated from my husband. We were still living in the same place, but we were in separate rooms. And a very, very long story short, I had asked him to get help, and I had had some pushback from him. And I finally felt like I didn't have a choice, and I had to get other people involved in the situation in order for him to get the help that he needed, because he wasn't going to do it willingly. And I really was not trying to. I needed the space to heal myself. I needed that safe space to heal myself, but I wasn't trying to throw away our relationship. I just needed him to work with me, and I needed us both to work together. And it was just something that he was unwilling to do, and I was trying to just force the issue. And the harder I forced it, eventually, and I'm going to put a trigger warning right here, really big. And I will put a space to skip to, because there is some serious stuff in the next few minutes. So I will give you a second to click off to go forward to whatever if you need to. 3 years ago, my husband took his life. We were in the trailer that we were living in. My kids were there. I was there. There was a caseworker that was there at the time that he did it, thank goodness. And I'm just going to leave it very matter-of-factly. Because there are a lot of people that still are grieving and still are dealing with this in their own way. And I'm not trying to point fingers or, upset anybody. So matter-of-factly, that is one of the things, that is one of the traumatic experiences I had to deal with, my children have to deal with. And it is where everything got flipped on its head, basically, because we actually were now at a place where we were moving forward in a way that was, everybody was on the same page. It's traumatic. And I say everybody, meaning my girls and I. We all had a slate that we were all healing from kind of the same things at that point. And there wasn't the back and forth and the arguments and the name calling and the things that were going on in the past. Moving forward, I, was able to kind of pick myself back up in a way and start to slowly work through things. And it was a slow process. We're talking 3 years now, and I'm just now at the point where, I would tell people about it, but I'm just now at the point where I can actually talk about it and not dissociate completely. I will say it that way. I still feel a lot of back and forth with the guilt. There are, I mean, and I know that it was his decision to do it. However, given the circumstances, there are still days when I'm like, if you didn't do what you did, you'd probably still be there. And I feel that on a very deep level. I, feel the sadness of what feels like taking him from people. And it was his decision to do this because of my decision to put myself and my children in an environment where we could get some, I don't want to say like, I don't know how to word it. Like, we could get into that just right state. We could get our needs met. And when you have ADHD, when you have autism, when you're neurodivergent and you have things going on, and outsiders come in and try to get you to act the way they want you to act, it makes you at times feel unsafe. You don't feel like you belong. You feel like you're wrong. You feel like you have to do things for other people to make other people happy. And I think that the place that we were at was just, we all needed to be in that place where, okay, like, this is our space where we call the shots, and there's nobody who's like pointing fingers and saying, oh, you're not living by society standards and things like that. And that is one place that I have gotten to. It's taken me a while to embrace the out of the box thinking and the kind of go, okay. And I was talking to a friend today even, and I told her, I said, I am happy that things are going the way that they're going. And it's like, I'm trying not to go down this rabbit hole of worrying about what other people are saying, because we're finally in a place where, regardless of what other people are saying, life is working, which is amazing and awesome. And I'm grateful for that. And I have to let go of it. So that is a little bit of my story, my second part of my story. I'm going to end it there and just say that if you've made it this far, I'm grateful that you watched. And for those of you who go, like, I always cringe when I tell my story, because it feels like there's just so many moving parts to it that are just so like, you went through this, and then you went through this, and then you went through this, and then you went through this, like, holy crap. And I just kind of look back and I go, like, I can see where things kind of led to a place where it gives me this, all of it, what I've been through has given me the drive to move forward and to work to heal myself, and then to be able to, spin around and throw my hand back to people and help them through their healing. So that is my story part 2. Questions, I'll leave them in the comments. Please be respectful. If you are not respectful, I'm going to delete them, and I'm going to put that in big bold letters in the description box. Just genuinely, I'm not telling my story for sympathy, for pity, for, oh my goodness, how, you're so strong. I would never willingly choose to go through any of this. It is what it is. You go through what you go through, and you get through what you get through. My children are amazing. They are the reason I do everything that I do. And I'm very grateful to have been given the opportunity to help other people through this, because I feel like we're all here for a reason. And so we really need to be kinder and nicer to each other, and you never know what somebody's going through. And I think, if anything, that's what 2020 and 2021 have taught us, is that we can all at any given time go through something traumatic. So just be kind. Alrighty, I'm gonna leave y'all here. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I'm going to get this up today along with my word of the year up today, and then I'm taking a break for tomorrow and Sunday, and I will have content back up for you guys on Monday. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Talk to y'all later. Bye.